The year is 2024. It's been a whole decade since the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, sorry. 2024, it's been a whole decade since the individual mandate of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act has been allowed to take effect. 10 years, a whole decade. That's a long time for government without a limit, with power that has no limit to it to be used. And this individual mandate is the first of its kind. It's the beginning of a domino chain reaction, and I do not want to be part of a government to see where they abuse their power. Because of this, I will argue that the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is unconstitutional. I will argue that the Section 1501 of this Act, the individual mandate, that is titled the minimum essential coverage provision of this Act, is unconstitutional. I will argue that this provision is removable from this Act, and this law is still can still take effect and can still thrive as its own act without this individual mandate. And I will argue that if this act is passed, that it will not reserve our individual rights as U.S. citizens. Nowhere in the Commerce Clause of the United States of America does it state that the federal government has any power to obligate any of its citizens to make purchases from a private sector, from any economy at all. That the United States has this individual mandate will take our rights to decide of what we want. That the Commerce Clause states that whatever is not stated in the U.S. Constitution, that those rights are given to states, not the federal government. And it is being argued that because of the Commerce Clause, this individual mandate is necessary and proper, because that the healthcare is about 7%. It's a large portion of the economy, and that they have the right to take effect and to obligate us to make these purchases. But it's not necessary. This individual mandate is not necessary at all. They can simply just implement a tax instead of forcing us into this economic relationship with these insurance providers. And because of this, I'm also arguing that this individual mandate that's completely unnecessary in this act, can be removed. Without this individual mandate, if this law is still kept, it's still by 2014, no insurance providers will be allowed to turn down anyone for any past conditions. They will not be allowed to turn down any children because if they had asthma or emphysema, or because they had a past broken leg. Our insurance won't cover you. And they also argue that this individual mandate is necessary because if it was not implemented, that anyone who is not covered will simply just wait until they are injured to get this coverage. But it's simple that even if your house is on fire and you're going to go grab house insurance, you shouldn't be allowed to get coverage for a current or past issue. That they won't. Without this individual mandate, they just won't be allowed to turn you down, and that you still be covered, but they won't. This is false, because even if you wait till the last minute to get your coverage, that you won't be covered. So you need to be covered before. And I believe that us as United States citizens, we are smart enough to decide for ourselves that we need this health insurance. And with this law, with all these regulations of the insurance providers, that premiums will still go down, costs will still go down, and we will still make money. It probably won't be as fast because we're not being forced into these payments and forced into making these decisions, but it will still occur. We will still save billions of dollars. It just will happen over a longer period of time. In this act, too, insurance providers will be regulated in many ways, such as that the premium cost dollars that they take for themselves, if they take too much money for themselves for profits, they will be required to give back that money in rebates for its providers. That I will also argue that that if this act is passed as it is, with this individual mandate, without it being altered at all, without this section of 1501 of the minimum essential coverage provision, if this is left untouched, that our rights will be taken away. This is the first of its kind, an individual mandate. Like, it's been issues have been brought up before, but our country has never implemented any such mandates to force its citizens into any purchases. If there were any, your parents or your grandparents would have known about them, and they would be making current payments or costs to whatever they were obligated to purchase. If we allow this to continue, this would imply that the federal government has unbound power. The main problem with this individual mandate is that there's no set limit. There's no boundaries to what they can do. And that's what we need. We need these limits. We need to put borders for our government so that they don't, well, go out of control. That this so I have went over that that the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act overall, as it is right now, I believe is unconstitutional. But I am fighting to keep this act, but I just want to remove Section 1501, the minimum essential coverage provision, that I believe is unconstitutional because it's also known as the individual mandate that's obligating us to make purchases into a private sector that's not a government section. I also have provided information that this act is still completely able to support itself without this individual mandate. This act is still going to help our economy. It's still going to help America. It's just that what the government is doing, I feel they're just pushing the powers, trying to see what they can do, and I want to stop them and keep them where they are, so that us citizens still keep our individual rights. We're not forced. We still have the free will decision to decide on our own. And I hope you support the removal of this section from the act and not throw away the act altogether. Thank you.